Wow, that was a crazy ending to that Warriors-Bulls game. Damian Lee hit a walk-off game-winning three, and this is just a very big win for the Golden State Warriors because we all know the first two games of the season, they looked absolutely terrible. They looked like one of the worst teams in the league. Their defense was terrible. Their offense was awful. There was nothing positive to say about this team other than maybe James Wiseman's play. But other than that, there wasn't anything positive you could say about this team. But tonight they were going up against the Bulls, and sometimes you can really boost your team's confidence when you go up against a team that's not very good, right? Especially a team that's not very good on defense, because you could see tonight that the Warriors' offense looked a lot better. They were creating shots, they were getting open looks from the three-point line. They actually shot well from the three-point line tonight. That was a big issue the first two games of the season, but they looked like a good three-point shooting team tonight, and they were creating looks. Wiggins was making some plays where he was penetrating, collapsing the defense, and kicking out to shooters. He looked good. He had 19 points and 9 rebounds, a few assists tonight, so he was good on the offensive end. Curry had like 36. He was looking like he was starting to regain his rhythm. Obviously, he had missed most of last season. He only played about 5 games. So it was kind of expected that he was going to start off slow this season, but it's good to see him get back into that rhythm, as early as he has been this year, right? Getting back into that rhythm in just the third game of the season, starting to look like his old self, because this team really needs it, right? Then who else played really well? Damian Lee, I think he went 4 for 7, obviously hit the game-winning three. He was great. Jordan Poole was pretty efficient. He gave about 10 or 12 points off the bench. I would have liked to have seen James Wiseman get some more minutes, but I think with Wiseman, he's still pretty raw at this point. There's some things that he needs to learn on the defensive end, and it's not entirely his fault because he didn't get summer league. He didn't get an extended period of time to prepare for training camp. He didn't even play in the preseason, so he's kind of learning as he goes. So I can see why he didn't play too many minutes tonight. His defense didn't look too great. He wasn't making a crazy impact on the floor like he had done in the first two games when he was on the floor. So I can understand why his minutes were a bit low. Kevon Looney looked pretty good though. It's just hard for a rookie to come into this Golden State Warriors system and learn it right away, especially when, like I said, they didn't really get too much preparation coming into the season. But he'll get better as the year goes along, and he just gets more reps, more experience, more minutes, all that. I'm trying to think of some other guys. Juan Toscano got the start tonight. I thought he was pretty good on both ends. He was playing defense. I think he was 1 for 2 from 3 or something. It was just good because he wasn't really forcing anything, right? The first two games of the season, I felt like Eric Pascal was not fitting in well with the starters. It seemed like whenever he got the ball, he was a ball stopper, and he didn't really know his role, I guess. He's not really a spot-up shooter. He's more of a guy that's better with the ball in his hands. He can create off the bounce a little bit. I liked him coming off the bench more, and he hit a few shots tonight. He looked all right. So I liked the start of Juan Toscano. I thought that was interesting. Draymond Green coming back should really help this team, though, because they were still really bad on the defensive end. They gave up 128 points to the Bulls. And the Bulls, they do have some good offensive talent, some good young scorers on that team, but still, 128 points, that's a lot to give up to a team that isn't that good. But I think that Draymond can really help this team out on the defensive end once he comes back from injury, because he's a guy that's kind of the defensive anchor for this team. He's not necessarily like a rim protector, a defensive anchor in that sense, but he's a guy who is always communicating. He's very vocal, and he gets the other 4 guys on his team that are on the court with him locked in and communicating as well, and talking and just playing the best defense that they possibly can. Draymond gets 100% out of his teammates on the defensive end when he's on the floor, so I think he's going to make a really big impact there. Kelly Oubre, though. Kelly Oubre, he does not, I don't know what is going on with him. I still think that he is yet to hit a 3-point shot this year. I don't know what the exact amount of attempts he's taken are, something like 0 for 20 or 0 for 21, I think. He just does not look good at all, and it looks like he's trying to force it a bit too. Not even just from the three-point line. There were a few layups that he probably should have made that he was just missing. I don't know what's going on with him. He's just in a major shooting slump right now. And it's kind of weird because, I mean, I know it's the preseason, but in the preseason, he was shooting it pretty well. I mean, he had a 22-point game against the Kings in preseason. He had another game where he was about 40% from the field in preseason. So he was doing all right then. So it's just crazy to see how differently a guy can play from the preseason to the regular season. It just goes to show how different that level of basketball is, right? So hopefully he can pick it up, because if Kelly Oubre had a decent game, if he just played up to his standard, the Warriors would have won this game probably by at least 10 plus, because Oubre is good for about 16, 17 points a game. He can hit a few threes. It's really just the offense, because, I mean, defensively he's been pretty good. It's really just the offense with him right now, his shooting. But if Oubre gave you like 16 points tonight, yeah, the Warriors probably win this game by 10 plus, I would say. So I think that he's the big key, because if Curry and Wiggins, if their play tonight was any indication of them potentially getting back into more of a rhythm, then that's good, because the offense was, I mean, everything was a struggle for them, but it's good to see them play good offense and have some of their guys start to play better. I think Curry just showed us tonight, though, that he is capable of carrying a team that is considered lackluster. And I'm not saying I had doubts about him, but I know going into the season there were lots of people who doubted whether Curry was going to be able to do anything with this team, or whether they were going to be towards the bottom of the West, because they thought that he wouldn't be able to carry this team necessarily, right? But Curry just proved to any of those doubters that were out there that, yeah, he can carry a team on his back. He can average 30 on a night, and, you know, he can do it without any other all-stars and still get wins. And that's really good for the Warriors to see, at least this season, coming back from injury. He's done it in the past before, but to see him do it this year after coming back from a season last year where he didn't really play too much, that was good to see. And people should watch out for the Warriors, because it seems like they're starting to catch their rhythm a little bit, at least from the offensive end. And I think once Oubre starts to catch a bit of a rhythm, starts to have some good games, Draymond comes back and hopefully helps the defense a little bit. Not saying he's going to make them elite, but at least make them respectable. If all those things kind of go their way, they could start to go on a bit of a winning streak and contend for that 7th, 8th seed in the West.